Good morning and welcome to the Family Business Show. I'm John Broons and this is our first show for 2019.
I just want to thank our sponsors for today, and today's sponsor is Tech, the Executive Connection, have made a very big difference, a huge difference in my business life, and I think that if you contact them on www.tech.com.au, you can connect with Tech, the organisation, and I think it would be in your interests. So thank you, Tech.
Today my guest is Jad Reuben from the Reuben Group, and I'd like to welcome him to the Family Business Show. Welcome, Jad.
Thank you, John. Absolute pleasure to be here with you.
Very good.
First interview of 2019.
It is, and
I feel very privileged.
We won't get into how we spent New Year's, but I know you had a good one, and I know I did too. So, let's talk about the family business. Sure. So, can you give us a bit of a story, a history of your business, what it was, what it has grown to, and where you fit into it?
Sure.
To today, just a little short story.
Yeah. So we're a Jewish family, and it's like all typical Jewish families, we were in retail. So, and my dad chose textile retails in WA, and that's a whole nother story, so probably don't have enough time to go through that. I went to uni, I was interested in finance, investing. I did Bachelor of Commerce, majoring in management, marketing and finance. Then thought it'd be nice to do a bit of that in the industry, so went and worked for a bank in financial planning, became a financial planner, did the financial planning degree as well, diploma. And at the same time, I was living at home, viewing what was going on with my parents in the business. It was early 2000s, and thought that now was probably the right time. If I wanted to give family business a go, it was probably the right time. I needed some fresh blood in there. My dad started the business in '85, so this was now 2004. So decided to make the switch in 2004, and had no idea what I was doing.
How old were you in 2004?
24, 23, okay. 23, so 24. Yep.
You'd taken all your qualifications.
Yep.
You'd worked outside.
Yep.
And then at 24 you came into the business.
All I knew was numbers at that stage. Like I could get my head around numbers, but I could always sort of get my head around numbers. I had no idea about retailing and people management, and probably still don't. But jumped in there. It was the business was in an interesting situation, I guess. At that time, there was a lot of competition in WA. All of a sudden, our buying habits were very local. We didn't have a lot of competitive advantage. I think we had about 15 stores at that stage, and the business needed a really good kick up the tuchus, so to speak, and that was it. So came in and made a lot of mistakes, but at the same time, we changed our buying habits slowly. We got new managers in. There was quite a lot of the managers were stale. We got new managers in, and slowly we turned the business around. So it took about 2 years, and we turned it into a really sort of good.
So the dynamic of the business changed.
Big time.
Your dad was. Did your dad invite you in, or did you sit up one day at the dinner table and said, "Dad, I'm coming"?
It didn't happen. It didn't happen like that. It didn't happen at a certain point. It was a slow process over probably 2 years before I had come in. I started looking at the numbers of the business.
Okay.
That's where I started. So they would bring the numbers home every day, and I started looking at the numbers, and I started to work out what each store needed to do to make this thing work, and I guess I started to get invested emotionally at that stage.
Aha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a very slow process, and it just started with having a look at numbers. So it's dangerous, and then ended with me giving up my dream job, but it really wasn't a dream job in hindsight, in the finance industry, because that.
Well, financial advising has its own quirks, and you have to deal with people.
It's a very people game, and in hindsight, the industry's become quite tough. So it was probably a good move in hindsight.
In hindsight.
Yeah.
So there's another thing that
Yeah.
we haven't talked about, that your mother has been also involved in the
Yes.
business. It
Yes.
has been a true family business.
Absolutely. In fact, my dad started the business with his father-in-law, my mother's father. I don't know if you knew that. And so you know, a real family business. And my grandfather was still around for a few years when I was in the business, and he would come in every day. So I do remember those years very fondly. And you know, it was great to have him around as a mentor as well. My mother was heavily involved, very much a day-to-day person in the business. You know, just supporting and doing what needs to be done. Okay. And my dad was a bit of the sort of the bigger idea type person, creative.
Okay.
And you certainly need those people around. You know,
well,
otherwise,
creativity.
Yeah, you certainly need those people, especially in retail. You need those people around.
Yes,
Yeah.
His advertising campaigns were very well recognised, and people would know them.
Absolutely, 100%.
And they haven't forgotten them.
Yeah. He still gets comments. You know, are you real? I can't believe you're real. So, but it was an interesting dynamic at that stage. So, and not a lot of thought went into it. As I said, it just happened, and you know, it was. I think I finished up in July 2004 my financial planning career, and started in August 2004.
Okay.
So really hadn't had a break ever at that stage.
Other than mum and dad and yourself, were there any other family members that?
My grandfather, my mum's father, was
Okay.
still, you know, he was never really involved day to day, but he would come into the office every day. So he was around, and probably, you know, probably offered emotional stability.
Okay.
Which, you know, just by being there. So I think he passed in 2006. So it was, you know, but he kept coming in every day, all the way up. So you know, it was bred from a different cloth, so to speak.
Okay, thank you. The journey that has been in this involvement that you've had.
Yep.
How did you separate the family and the business conversations?
Yeah, not very well, because none of us really had much training on. We all knew how to run businesses, or we all knew what we wanted. We all knew what the goals were, but we all had different ideas on how to get there, and there lies the issue. So there wasn't a lot of separation, and I've got two younger sisters, and they were constantly complaining, because we're all very passionate about this thing, that, you know, would you just shut up about it already, you know, over the dinner table? You know, I'm sick of hearing about it. So there wasn't a good process around that. We did get better at it, I have to say. We did get better at it, and we worked it out. We had a no business discussion rule after a couple of years, after business hours, because, you know, where does it start and end? It never ends once you start.
How did you come to that rule?
Well, otherwise, you know, my sisters were going to walk out on us.
So it was just something that evolved. Mum or dad said at the dinner table, said, okay.
Yeah, we might have broken the rule a few times, but, you know, it was sort of unwritten rule that once we were together as a family, you know, it was family time, and, you know, there's no point having 5 people around the table and only 3 of them having a conversation.
Yeah, also it's very difficult for you to get a break, get space.
Yep.
And have some free time, free thinking time.
Yeah, so at that time I was living with my parents, and I realised pretty quickly that I had to move out. So I think I moved out late 2004 for the first time. Okay. Relatively late.
Yeah, but I understand.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a time of moving in or moving out today.
Yeah.
I think that, you know, you grow as a person, and you know, once you've made your mind up, you know, you have to make your mind up, not be pushed by somebody else, because then it kind of changes the dynamic. Yeah. So by you being able to be in a position, and I think that's more the point, you were able to be in that position to say, okay, I'm moving out now.
Yeah, it was very obvious that, you know, everyone needed some space. So we sort of worked 6 months together, living together, and yeah, it was very obvious by the end of 2004 that it was time for me to go. Okay.
So 2004, 2002, 2003, you got into the business.
Yeah.
You worked with mum and dad. The business has grown, and today the Reuben Group is...
Yeah, so we're also very interested in investing as well outside of the retail business. I guess from a diversification point of view or strategy. And our go-to asset was commercial property, so we really like commercial property, and just so happens a lot of our commercial property is in retail, so retail commercial property, I guess it's just, you know, in the DNA. And we exited the business and continue to do so at the moment. We're right at the pointy end of it. You know, that was a process as well, took some time and figuring out, you know, industry analysis and looking at retail, where it is today and where it's going, and the viability of the business going forward. Though it was a good business, been a good business for many years, you know, we all made a rational decision that it was time to exit gracefully and go and do other things.
Okay. You're a smart young man. You've got the family around you. You're working well together. You've learned a lot over the time. Did you go to an accountant for outside advice? Did you go to a lawyer for outside advice? How did you create a team around you, or did you have a team around you? Or are there anything in particular that you might suggest would be worthwhile for some families?
In more recent years, we've spent a lot of time, or I've spent a lot of time thinking about thought process and decision making, how that's so important in business, but I guess life as well. Every decision you make has a butterfly effect. And so definitely have a very strong network around me of independent advisors. So really important that they're independent. And I go to certain people for certain advice. So I'm probably not going to go to the same person for personal advice as I would on a legal matter or a business decision. So, and I'm very careful about who I go to for what, knowing that, you know, someone's got an expertise in a certain field. You know, sometimes, you know, I also consider cost incentive bias. So, you know, a lawyer has a cost incentive bias, maybe. So just careful about decision making and who I go to for advice, but have a strong network around me. Yeah.
You use the word network. Networks are really important.
Yeah.
The formative years at university, did you have people that you met along the way that you've stayed in touch with because of that network, or has it been people that you've met more through the time in the business?
Yeah, it's more. I was quite introverted. I still are quite introverted, which I'm at peace with. But it's more business circles, and more recently, like in the last 10 years, rather than people that I've kept in touch with through uni and you know, the finance industry. It's been more business. I seem to click better with business people. I don't know, maybe it's a similar mindset, but I get business people and hopefully they get me to some degree.
Today, where you're at,
the
retail business is diminishing, almost at its end. The group is now an investment group. You're working with mum and dad still?
Yes.
And they have an involvement? And I'm just trying to get a picture of where it is today, and that you've got a structure around that so that there's comfort for everybody.
Yes.
And your sisters are aware of where things are at. So things are good right now.
Things are great. Things are really good. And, you know, we've all decided that we're just going to take some time because, you know, running this retail business is very demanding for many years, and we all got very focused on the day-to-day. And we've all decided that we just all need to take some time to clear our minds about what the future looks like. I know definitely I want to be involved in some philanthropy or giving back to society in some way. I don't know what that looks like, but I definitely want to do some of that. I know that I need to earn my keep as well, so I know that I need to do something, and I'm not very good at doing nothing. I've just worked that out. But I am going to take some time. I'm going to give myself some time to work out what that is, and you know, and with family involvement. I know my parents, my dad's close to 70, my mum's in her mid-60s. They've just acquired another grandchild and another one on the way. So you know, they've got other interests as well, and we Yeah, I have to say I'm really excited about having my gap year that I never had, 20 years ago, and working it out.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Jed.
Thank you.
We'll take a break now, and we'll come back to you shortly. But thanks for listening. This is the Family Business Show with John Broons, and my guest today is Jad Reuben from the Reuben Group.
I just want to thank our sponsors for today, and today's sponsor is Tech, the Executive Connection, have made a very big difference, a huge difference in my business life, and I think that if you contact them on www.tech.com.au, you can connect with Tech, the organisation, and I think it would be in your interests. So thank you.